Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Yomi. My name is Yomi. I attend the dual degree program at Brown University and Rhode Island School of Design. I make travel, art, and college related videos. I know I haven't been posting much recently, but boy have I been extremely busy. I'm taking such hard classes, Chinese, French, everything in between. I'm taking a lot of classes, I'm in a lot of clubs, I don't have much time to post, but I'm happy to be making this video. For today's video, I'm going to be talking about why you need to stop obsessing over getting into an Ivy League school or into other prestigious universities. A lot of people have this mindset, whether you're from a family of minorities that are pressuring you to get into an Ivy League school like Harvard, Yale, Brown, Princeton, or other prestigious schools, or whether you go to a really prestigious private school and everyone from your school goes to really prestigious schools. There are a lot of people who feel like they need to get into a really academically prestigious school in order to be successful, in order to feel like they're worth it, which I'm just here to debunk the fact that the only way to be successful is to go to an Ivy League school or to go to a school of a similar caliber. That is just not true. I knew this one girl in high school who was in one of my honors classes, and she really wanted to go to this specific Ivy League school, which I'm not going to name, and she was really stressing about it. She said, if I don't get into this school, if I don't get into an Ivy League school, I'm never going to be a lawyer, and I will not be successful, and I won't be a lawyer. And I was telling her, you don't have to go to an Ivy League school to be a lawyer. And she's like, no, I have to. So a lot of people have this pressure put on them from a time when they're young, or sometimes they even put this pressure on themselves when they're older, or even when they're young, that they need to be the best at everything, that they need to always achieve the highest mark. But that's just, you don't always need to be the best at everything. You don't always need to get into the best school or be the highest performing in your sport or whatever you do, because you cannot always be the best at what you do. And that's one thing that I learned getting into Brown and going to RISD, which RISD is an art school. I'm majoring in illustration, and Brown is in a liberal arts school. And I'm going to school with people where a lot of the people were the valedictorians of their class, and a lot of the people at RISD are the best artists in the country, some the best artists of their age in the country, some even the best artists in the world of their age, right? Or even despite age, they can compare with professionals, some of them, right? So you're in this really academically intense and artistically intense environment. So I've learned that I can't be the best at everything. When I was in high school, whatever I did, I would always be the best or one of the top few people at. And when I came to Brown, I realized I just can't do that. So this has made me kind of realize, this has put things into perspective for me on like getting into Ivy League schools, because you see so many videos on YouTube about how to get into an Ivy League school. This is how I got into an Ivy League school. And I've even made videos like that, which I feel like videos like that can be toxic. And just scrolling through and watching these videos over and over, watching many different videos. I know when I was applying to school, I was watching videos like that. And what I would do is I would watch, think about this. The videos that you're watching, most of them that you're watching are the videos that have over 100,000 views, over 50,000 views. Some of them even have 1 million views of how they got into Harvard, how they got into an Ivy League school, their college stats, right? So most of these videos that you're watching are of people that have a lot and that have so many views, right? And the reason that they have so many views is, well, of course, the quality of the video is really good, right? But their stats were insane. The type of international competitions that they did, the books they published, the types of schools that they went to, all of the activities that they did were insanely competitive and were just outrageously impressive, right? But the thing is, what I've realized, that I go to an Ivy League school, I go to Brown University, and I go to RISD, which is a very prestigious art institution. And one thing that I've realized is not everyone's application is like that. Like everyone at Brown is very successful, right? We've all done many activities. Some of us were valedictorians or class presidents or vice presidents, or were in some cool international competitions, but there are many people at Brown who are not the valedictorian. There are people at at Brown who were not even in the top 10% of their class. There were people at Brown who have not done any international competitions. Like I thought I couldn't get into any prestigious institution because I was watching these videos and I saw, wait a minute, I didn't even know about these international competitions. No one at my school did these competitions. No one got these international awards at my school. I didn't even know they existed. So I was like, oh shoot, I haven't done anything like this before. I didn't know they existed. I can't get into a school like this, but I got in, right? So you look at this, and just being around all the people that I'm around, there are people from so many different backgrounds. Some people went to private school, some people went to public school, some people came from even very rural areas, some people came from very rich countries, some people came from very poor countries. Everyone is coming from very different backgrounds. And one thing that I've realized is that you can't watch a video that's 20 minutes that has 500,000 views on YouTube on how someone got into Harvard and think that's exactly what you need to do to get into Harvard. Like, yeah, that does put things into perspective on how competitive people's applications are, but you need to realize that in order to get into a school like this, you don't have to be doing the same things that they're doing, especially when a lot of these people have been financially privileged and have had access to these resources that a lot of other people don't have, right? A lot of people don't have money to do international competitions, don't have money to study for that, to pay tutors to study for the SAT. Even some of these people posting their videos have had SAT tutors, right? I just want to let you know, getting back to my overall point, is that you do not need to go to an Ivy League school or a prestigious institution to be successful. The people who got in here, who got into Brown, who get into Ivy League schools, are people that are successful, right? Brown doesn't make them successful. Harvard doesn't make them successful. Princeton doesn't make them successful. They were already successful to begin with, and they already had a drive, they already had a passion. And these people who continue to be successful after going to Ivy League schools are people who continue to have that drive. If you are super successful in high school, super successful in middle school, and get into a really prestigious institution, but then you don't carry that same drive, then success isn't going to follow you, right? It's about your drive, which is going to make you successful. So if you go to community college, you can be very successful. If you go to your local state school, you can be very successful. If you go to a school with a 95% acceptance rate, you can be very successful. It's not necessarily about the school that you go to, but it's about your work ethic. It's about your drive. It's about even like making connections, which I do want to say that going to an Ivy League school puts you in a very privileged place where you meet a lot of people who are very rich, very wealthy, whose parents are very wealthy, whose parents are actors, directors, writers, and they give you have many connections, right? So you're in this really privileged place. So once you get into a school like this, like, you do have that those like 10 steps forward, those 100 steps forward, where you do have those connections. But even if you don't get into a school like Brown or like Harvard or whatever prestigious institution, Oxford, you can still get amazing connections. You can still reach out to people. You can still get great jobs. You can go to community college and then go to your local state school and end up making more than someone in the Ivy League. And yes, people who graduate from Ivy League schools, I believe, tend to make a lot of money. But you have to think about this. Like I said before, these people were already driven before. It's not just that they could put that they went to Harvard on their resume, which makes them successful. How you present yourself and how you keep on going to get what you want, right? Because you have to continue to be a go-getter, which I've had to have this conversation with myself. I can't just settle with being like mediocre, which I guess being mediocre is okay, but for where I want to go in life, I can't just settle with being mediocre. Oh, I got into these 2 good schools, I got into this prestigious program, now I can just relax. And I've had to have this conversation with myself, like, why am I here? Like, I need to continue working hard, because it's not like Brown is going to get me the job necessarily. It may help me get the job, but it's the continued work ethic that will get you the job. It's the continued work ethic which will aid in your success. There are many things that aid in your success, but going to an Ivy League school does put you in a privileged situation. But you can go to an Ivy League school and end up being homeless. You can go to an Ivy League school and end up making minimum wage, which of course that's not likely, but I have heard stories of stuff like that. It also depends on what you choose to do once you graduate. So I just, like, it hurts me, like, when I see people commenting on my YouTube videos, like, oh my gosh, they'll comment something, and then I'll reply, and they'll be like, oh, you're the first Ivy League person who's ever talked to me before. And it's like, I'm not a celebrity, I'm not a god, I'm not above anyone else. I'm just a regular person who works really hard, right? So there's this type of glorification of going to an Ivy League school, of this is your stepping stone to be successful. The stepping stone is in your heart, it's in your drive. I know that's really cheesy, but it is in your heart, it's in your drive to want to succeed. The Ivy League is not quite the stepping stone. The first stepping stone is the drive in your heart, and the Ivy League is a different stepping stone along the path, further down. But you don't need that stepping stone, right? You can be a successful lawyer, a successful doctor, and not go to any of these schools. And I know, like, I'm gonna reiterate that there are a lot of minorities who are pressured by their families to go to these schools, and that they need to get into a school like that, or someone else from their community got into an Ivy League school, which means they also need to get into an Ivy League school. If you don't get in, that's okay. You can still be extremely successful. You can still do great things. Don't think that you can't do great things. And don't let your family's pressure get to you, because once again, I cannot reiterate this enough. It's about your drive. It's not about going to a school like this, right? It's amazing to get into a school like this, but there are plenty of people who are extremely successful who did not go to schools like this. I will reiterate, there are plenty of people who are successful who did not go to schools like this. And there are plenty of people who are extremely successful who went to schools like this, but going to school like this was only a fraction of the reason why they're successful, which I would argue the main reason why they were successful is because they were so high achieving. They were so such go-getters, which led to their success. And what type of people apply to schools like Harvard? The extreme go-getters. So you weren't successful because you got into Harvard. You were successful because you had the drive. But Harvard did also aid somewhat in your success. That's what I'm trying to get at. So please stop obsessing over getting to an Ivy League. Please do not think that you need to have the same stats as everyone else on YouTube to get into the Ivy League. Please do not be discouraged and extremely hurt by the fact that you did not get into an Ivy League school. The Ivy League literally formed as a sports league of schools in New England. It did not form as a prestigious system of institutions. That's just what it became over time. But literally, it's just a grouping of schools that played sports against each other. That's what the Ivy League started as, right? So it's very arbitrary. Is that the word, arbitrary? It's very insignificant, the term Ivy League. There are many schools in the United States that are ranked higher than other Ivy Leagues. Not many. There are other schools in the United States that are more achieving, that are better, that are ranked higher than Ivy League schools, right? Which I'm not saying rankings are what matter the most, right? But there are schools that are better than Ivy League schools, right? And also, you need to realize that you should not be going to a school just because it's super prestigious, just because it's Harvard, just because it's Yale. You should be going to a school because you want to go there, because you like the campus, the student body seems nice, you like the general vibes of the campus, you like the majors they have to offer, the departments are really solid in what you want to study, you like the resources that the school has to offer. That is what you should be focusing on. Yes, prestige is nice, but if it's not a school that you're really going to fit in, then why are you looking at it in the first place? You know? It's not all about just getting into successful school, because you'll still be successful on your own. Continue to work hard, continue to have that drive. I'm trying to continue to push myself to have that drive because I'm struggling in college right now, right? But I'm doing what I can do, and I hope I helped in this video. I hope I helped lift some burdens off of your shoulders, because it's like a huge problem that people think they need to get into a school like this. And I know I was caught in that trap thinking, I'm not going to be successful if I don't get into a really, really good school. That's just not true. That's a huge myth. So I hope I helped. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate you guys, and have a wonderful rest of your day.